lot of practitioners out there are faced with the challenge of being categorized as being woo-woo. And this is some type of, mysterious, spiritual, crazy thing that, many people don't know about. A lot of these things can be explained, at least the phenomenon and experience can be explained by someone who's actually undergone a therapy.
Welcome to another installment of the Next Gen AI Case Study Series. In this series, on this episode today, we have Carlton Johnson, who is with Spectrix Metaphysical Institute. Welcome to the show, Carlton.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I'd love to start with a quick Coles Notes version of who you are, where you came from, and how you ended up with Spectrix Metaphysical.
Okay, well, just a short background. I didn't start with Spectrix. I created Spectrix out of the curiosity of helping people with dealing with day-to-day life. A lot of it came from my experience in corporate America and in small business. From that time and around 2015 to 2019, worked on my PhD in metaphysical science. Also have certifications in neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, also in Reiki, which is an energy healing technique. And so since then, I've been in the CAM space, that's complementary and alternative medicine. So that's kind of my playing field right now.
Okay, and so by the sounds of it, you're the founder, co-founder,
The founder.
Okay, wow, that's a huge responsibility to take on. What inspired you to want to be a part of this?
The main thing I found in business was that as I worked with different individuals from different walks of life, different faces, races, and everything else, I found that people had an inherent stopper somewhere. For example, I would do a business plan for someone, and they would have the plan completed, and business plans aren't cheap. They're $1,500 and up, and refuse to execute the plan. Even though resources were lined up, they refused to sign the dotted line. And so I'm like, what stopped you from going forward? And so a lot of clients had limiting beliefs as, they said that, I can't believe this is happening. I don't think I will actually be able to execute this. The plan laid out exactly what they would do, but they didn't trust their own plan.
Wow. So you take on I don't know if it's a responsibility or the just a role of helping them overcome whatever that roadblock is.
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell me what a day-to-day life of Carlton looks like in that type of business.
Well, in the metaphysical space, the day-to-day life is more so educating people on the various types of mind-body solutions that are out there. We have everything ranging from energy healing and Reiki to things in psychology, techniques with NLP, with CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And there's a multitude of things that we can take a look at. A lot of it people have seen and heard in seminars, but the vast majority of it can be learned on your own. We have people who do specialize in it. And what it does is it gives the person a toolbox they can use to get over certain things that are blocking their success in life.
Okay. So in your industry, I imagine there has been a multitude of innovation and new technologies and things like that. What have you seen kind of becoming some of the trends nowadays with the advent of AI and that sort of thing?
Well, in one area in neuroscience, they do have tools like Mindy that allow you to monitor your own brainwave activity at home. Shout out to Mindy, I work with them. Also, in technology, we have the advent of AI. ChatGPT, Copilot, and Pi are three of the AI bots that I use in my own practice. And it's amazing what you're able to do with those bots. It's amazing what they're able to give back to you when you give them a scenario. They can analyze things. The key is not necessarily to have the AI do the work for you. Rather, it's to give you the ability to have like a sounding board. And before you get to drawing these elaborate therapies and things of that nature, you are able to see it and talk to a human-esque type entity to spit back to you, how does this sound? Does this make sense? Of course, you control for what's true and what's not, even in the metaphysical space. But once you have those controls in place, you do have really a great combination of, human and artificial intelligent tools to help a lot of people.
So I can't imagine that there's a limit to the number of people who are facing um, challenges as it relates to their medical situation, mental health, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Uh, Being that I guess the ocean is so vast, how do you kind of narrow in on the type of client that you want to serve?
Well, it really starts with me focusing on the demographic of my client base, small business people for the most part. They come from various backgrounds, different races, both genders. So it's a mixed bag of things that happen. But within Spectrix, what I try to do is I take a look at the experience I had in small business and in corporate America, and I begin to create solutions around the people that presented issues and problems to me. And so those things are tailor made for those people, but then those things are extrapolated into broader, more general things that anyone can pick up and use. So if you have an issue with anxiety versus an actual physical issue, there's something there at Spectrix that can help you, because we can take all of those tools and techniques and craft something unique for you.
So you really have been intentional about mapping out your customer experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be.
Right. Especially when you have to get kind of granular in terms of the symptoms and solutions or prescriptions for the type of things that these people are going to need to help. Um, in terms of managing the relationships and I guess closing the deal, what sorts of challenges do you face in terms of getting people to, first of all, trust you,
Yeah.
and then second of all, like enroll in the plan that you've created?
That's an awesome question. The biggest challenge that I've faced in Spectrix is education. A lot of practitioners out there are faced with the challenge of being categorized as being woo-woo. And this is some type of, mysterious, spiritual, crazy thing that, many people don't know about. A lot of these things can be explained, at least the phenomenon and experience can be explained by someone who's actually undergone a therapy. So what I do is I make sure that my client has enough information, whether it be through articles they can read, a conversation. Spectrix, for the most part, before we see anyone here, we actually go through a 30-minute consultation for free to see where people are, to gauge where people are in receiving the type of services we offer. The second step in getting them in the door is making sure that they're comfortable. Out of that consultation comes a checklist of things we can do to make the experience the best. Our tagline here at Spectrix is, we believe the science, we know our experience. So we explain the science first so they'll understand what's going on, and then we invite them to have their own experience.
So, what are some new ways that you're kind of exploring the application of technology in that part of the process? Because I can see how internally having a very high level sounding board, something that you can kind of brainstorm with, is such an incredible tool. The list that you gave is very similar to my short list of tools that I use for my marketing stuff. But then when it comes time to actually like execute on all of this stuff, I'm sure you've faced some challenges in terms of like the team that it takes to be able to communicate with people on a consistent enough basis that your pipeline stays full and you can still serve the people who do opt in. Are you implementing any type of technologies in the way of that?
Well, not at this time. We're actually looking into that. We would like to have more AI-driven communications with scheduling, especially with scheduling. I don't think we're going to do anything with the actual administration of therapies as of yet. While Pi, ChatGPT, and Copilot are great at doing research, I haven't tested them on an actual client to see how well they respond to a real life situation. So that's going to be further down the pipeline. But for right now, we're looking at ways to incorporate AI in the scheduling and communicating, any type of after therapy orders for our patients.
Right. Yeah, because there's a lot of new stuff coming down the hill here towards us that most people aren't even yet aware of in terms of the different applications and technologies that are there.
Mhm.
What are you excited about? What have you seen that kind of like sparked your interest and made you maybe turn your head or take a deeper look at it?
I'd say the one thing that has really sparked my attention is the way we are able to use AI to, number one, manufacture pictures. People are big on pictures. I've noticed that in NLP especially, people are very big on pictures. We're able to use websites like Night Cafe to take a description of what someone's describing, and in real time using Night Cafe, if I use a microphone setup, I can have the computer just port that into Night Cafe and have it generate a picture so we can get an idea of what it is. The one thing we try to do is we try to name it and picture it to deal with it. So that helps in formulating the picture. That's one way AI does that. The second way is in interacting with clients. I've noticed that we're able to use different voices and we're able to use realistic looking people. So what we're able to do is craft messages that, they can connect to, because these are people who look like me and sound like me. So I can connect with this, even though I know it's AI, this is a person I can connect with because they sound like me, they look like me. And so we can actually do therapy through that as well and actually continue the process while they're being treated here live as veterans.
Yeah, that's such a powerful approach to helping somebody unpack the traumas or uh, challenges that they're facing in a constructive way that still allows it to be safe. Because I know that even in that exploration, it can be quite challenging,
But
um, and even more so with people who are under higher levels of stress. You find that that's more your crowd, or what type of people do you find most common that you're working with?
most common, I do find people who are under extreme levels of stress. Most people, and it's no secret, most people come to Spectrix to experience Reiki. Reiki is an energy healing technique that was developed in Japan in the late 1800s, early 1900s by Dr. Mikao Usui. And so what they want to do is they want to experience the technique from a relaxation standpoint. They come in, we do the session, but the one thing I noticed that everyone leaves is that I've never been this relaxed before. I've never let go as much before. And when you're laying on the table, and actually anyone who has had a Reiki session, even practitioners who do self sessions, they will tell you the relaxation is tremendous. You can actually let go of a lot of stuff. Also, this is a very funny thing, that once people are done with the session, they lay there for a couple of minutes. And the reason, well, I do it for safety purposes because, you're almost asleep by the time you're done with the session. But people find that they have to reconnect with their surroundings. They're like, I feel like I've been disconnected from my body, during that session. And it gives them a chance to, kind of put things into order. So I encourage clients as they come and as they repeat their sessions, when they find that they're in that mode where they feel disconnected, to reconnect things, put things in order by their own priority. Don't come back to the stress you left. Come back and give yourself a moment to reconnect with reality on your own terms. Put things in order the way you want to see them. So when you get off that table, you know exactly what you want to do. You know exactly how you're going to do it.
It sounds like such a transformative experience, and you mentioned before the challenge in the messaging behind this stuff is that it does come across as very woo woo or very spiritual in nature. And I don't know, something odd about myself is that I actually have studied a lot of these things from a more scientific perspective, which
Mhm.
I imagine you with a PhD probably have also
Absolutely.
kind of gone down that path.
Okay.
But it poses a challenge in the messaging and how you communicate with people in a way that doesn't sound like you're some psychotic witch doctor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when
Exactly.
you put together these messages and these ideas or these testimonials, like what is your approach to spreading that message online? I know, and maybe you're not at this point yet, but a lot of businesses are experiencing this sense of irrelevance by not being online. But
Hmm.
then, you're posed with a whole nother set of challenges that you have to become a media company where you're constantly producing content, sharing those messages. Has that been a challenge for you guys?
That has been a slight challenge. I work with the team of three talented individuals who help keep me on track. I am the quintessential doctor in the practice. I'm the one that speaks all the jargon and all the crazy stuff. They say, "Hey, doc, that's way too much." We actually sit down and, we talk about the message. We talk about how to get it across to people, and we come up with a way that is palatable for everybody. In during the pandemic, 2020 through 2022, what we did was we started putting out, not frequently, but every so often, we put out something called a Spectric short. The Spectric shorts, our goal and aim was to provide some type of encouragement, invite people to slow down, calm down. It's going to be all right. We have a couple on TikTok, and we've gotten good reception there. There have been shorts we put on Facebook. We were attempting to do YouTube, but it was just, things got kind of hectic there. But we're still continuing in that process to put out shorts and things like that. The idea is to, again, find a voice that people can connect with, find a message that is simple enough to understand, but rich enough that people get something out of it. And so that's been the biggest challenge, in making sure that that's a consistent process. We tried with different voices, we tried with different types of messages, and we're still trying to find a sweet spot, but I think we're getting there pretty quickly.
How has that experience been for you in terms of like carving out what message works well? Have you guys experimented with stuff from a multitude of angles, or are you still dipping your toe in and just getting a sense of the environment?
Well, we're actually coming from a multitude of different angles. It's easy enough to have a short that talks about, a modality like Reiki or like NLP,
Right.
giving them the base facts and then telling them what the benefits are. But sometimes we have to put people in the scenario. Putting people into that scenario means coming up with a short where a person puts themselves into the short as the short is going on. They see a person there in the short, they hear the message, but now when they're invited to put themselves into that short, now they're able to focus in on the message. They're able to internalize what's being said, and it's much more effective that way.
You're reminding me of, and maybe this might be helpful for you guys. There was a guy that I found on one of the social media platforms, pretty sure it was TikTok. He goes by the name of Dreadful Bird, and he always starts the short in a very similar way every single time. The camera will be pointed at something from a macro perspective that is connected to nature and nature's beauty. So it could be a
Yep.
close up of a leaf or a tree branch or the sky or something like that, right? And
Mhm.
then the camera turns after a moment of seeing this thing, and then he walks you through this meditative experience where you pause for a second, you take a few deep
Yep.
breaths, you become aware of your body, and then from there you're practicing some level of gratitude. He always mentions something to be grateful for, and then challenges you to do the same thing. And so there's this experiential
Mhm.
uh, situation that you're creating in the content. Is that what you're kind of leaning into in terms of the stuff that you're putting out there?
Absolutely. That particular TikToker has it. Hey, he has a square on it, because that's exactly what's needed. People need to have that experience, and we're finding that not only in the metaphysical space, but even in the retail space. Companies are now they're trying to build an experience for you rather than peddle a product or a service. They want you to have an experience, and so from the time you walk in the door to the time you laid the cash on the counter, they want you to be satisfied with every single piece of the interaction. I think, that's what we're trying to do at Spectrix as well.
What what are you doing to kind of elevate that experience for your clients?
Well, elevating that experience would include, in a session, figuring out what smells trigger relaxation versus something that would make them uneasy. What smells are displeasing to you? And that of course comes out in the initial consultation. Are you sensitive to light? Are there colors that you don't like? And what we do is we tailor their experience. So when they come into the space to have the service, none of the elements that will make them anxious or worried are there. Those elements are gone. So what we try to do is eliminate for that individual negative elements that may thwart or even stop their ability to receive the benefits of the therapy.
So it's a very immersive experience.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. I admire your willingness and tenacity to pursue something like that, because a lot of businesses, I think, forget that sometimes, and make the relationship very transactional in nature, where it's, hey, here's the dollars and cents, here's the thing that you paid for, best of luck. And in most cases, you find that the customers don't stick around long enough. What are you guys doing right now in your practice to maintain those relationships over longer periods of time?
But I think one thing that is not unique to Spectric. So I think with many metaphysical practitioners, they try to establish with their client slash patient a circle of care. So I'm not sure how many are going to this concept of the circle of care. But what the circle of care is, you have the patient at the center. On one side, you have your medical practitioners that deal with the somatic side, the body, you deal with the chemistry and everything else. And you have the metaphysical practitioner who deals with the spiritual side, the side that the mind and the side that is non-tangible. And what we try to do in that circle of care is we try to have everyone communicate what's going on. So there might be something that comes up in a hypnosis session or at an NLP session that might give the doctor an insight or a clue as to what is actually going on. When we get to doctors, we don't necessarily tell the truth. Everybody lies, to quote House MD, everybody lies, myself included. So, we don't tell the doctor everything. Metaphysical practitioners have a way of using their techniques to draw out what the real bedrock and core issues are. And if we have that circle of care and permission to communicate, I can communicate with the person's provider and say, hey, this is what I saw in a session. Have they mentioned these things to you? And so the doctor is now better prepared later on and said, we never considered this, but have you had issues with this, this, and this? Boom. The client goes, yes. And so we're able to get a better treatment. And that's the goal. The goal is not for a metaphysical practitioner to supplant a doctor. We want to be able to support a doctor.
That's very admirable that you go down that path. Just because I know, even from my own experience dealing with a compartmentalized medical professionals, this guy's really good at this one thing, and if you ask the plumber what's wrong, he's going to say that it's the pipes. If you ask the electrician what's wrong, he's going to say it's the wiring. So you're kind of stuck at this crossroads. But creating those open channels of communication, I think, are such a huge benefit to achieving a more positive and uniform outcome for especially for your clients. I think that's such a cool thing that you guys are doing that. So to kind of wrap things up here, I'm curious if you had one piece of advice for other businesses who are kind of facing similar challenges in the way of implementing and leveraging the technologies that are out there and available to all of us, what would that advice be, Carlton?
The biggest piece of advice I can give my fellow entrepreneurs and business owners is, number one, be patient with yourself in applying technologies. Listen to your patients and clients, because they're going to tell you exactly how you can get the best bang for your buck with any of the technologies that are available. There are some things that patients and clients like. There are other things that they don't. And if you hear the voice of the client, it will steer you in how you should approach applying those things in your shop. Also, be patient, because a lot of the bridging technologies that we need to make things happen, for example, in the metaphysical space, we do have a medical health record system. We do have that. We don't have the AI stuff that's, attuned to what we do. It's all medical, or it's all, psychological. But we don't have something that deals with the metaphysical yet. So be patient, and then talk to your vendors and let them know, I'm in this space. I need things tailored this way so I can better serve my clients. So it's communicate, communicate, communicate. Listen to your clients and be patient with the process.
Very sound advice, Carlton. You've been very generous with your time here today. I can't thank you enough. On behalf of myself and the viewers, I've learned a lot from you. If somebody wanted to further this conversation, get in touch with you and kind of pick your brain or maybe work with you, is that a possibility?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They can email me at Carlton, CARLTON .Johnson, JOHNSON, at Spectrix Online, that's SPECTRIX online.com, or you can call me. I do answer my phone, or if you want to text the same number, it's 704-320-1984.
Awesome. We'll make sure we link to all that stuff in the show notes. And if you want to get in touch with me or my team for any reason, it's nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode, and I will see you in the next.